What's up, guys? This is Intelitech Studios, and this is my review on my Phantom Fury. One of the prized joys of my collection, one of the two machines that I'm very, very, very happy to finally have, along with the Power Glide series. And yeah, I'm super happy to have this, although I will admit that I'm kind of disappointed because I did. Let's see, I don't know if I ever did a video on this. Or no, no, I did do a video whenever I first got it, but it does not sound the same as it did back then. I actually did a couple videos on this. Sorry, my memory is trash. Um, but yeah, so this machine, so I got this machine whenever I was living in Kentucky. My partner at the time basically picked it up for me because I paid for it to some woman who was selling it in Louisville, and he went ahead and grabbed it for me and everything. So it was pretty much just waiting there, and then eventually I moved in with them, and that ended up not working out. But either way, I did eventually get this, and I'm super happy to have it. But, unfortunately, one thing that learned while prepping for this video is that the motor in this has pretty much shot in the time that this was sitting in my closet. And that makes me very sad. So I do need to completely strip this thing down to the motor because it does not sound very good at all. The bearings sound really badly dried out, and it clearly needs some love. So whenever I first got it, the thing sounded relatively healthy, but I said in that video that I wasn't going to do a demo with it, like an actual house cleaning, because of the fact that the motor clearly is in poor shape and I don't want to abuse the poor thing more than it is. And just simply owning a Fury is something that, I don't want to screw up. But I will still run it a little bit in this video, but it sounds very poor. The motor is very whiny, it's very high pitched. It actually has a very similar sound effect to a lot of motors get whenever they have water damage, which definitely worries me, considering the fact that this did have some soda spilled on it. So, um, even though I don't think any of it got into the motor, I think that's just kind of me. That's just kind of being silly. I think it's just a coincidence, but still, it's unfortunate that it sounds as bad as it does. However, I'll still tell the story. Of course, I just mentioned how I got the machine. I paid $25 for it. I think it was marked at 25. I gave the girl 30 for her to deliver it to my partner's at the time's apartment. And so she was able to do that, and thankfully everything worked out, and I was able to get a hold of it. And yeah, so thankfully it didn't get broken or anything in the meantime. Because I later found out that person was not very desirable. But regardless, this machine is still in decent condition. I mean, I'm not going to complain. It has some cracks on the bottom of the sole plate. If I look, and not damage it with the floor tool. But you can see that the bottom plate is not in the best condition. It does have, it does have some marks. It does have some cracks. It's very badly scuffed up. You can see there's a crack right there in the shell that is not very good. There's, a couple of chips just around it. And you can see even this part's starting to rust a little bit. So it's not in the best of condition. It's nowhere near mint. And of course, you can see the suction inlet right there. Thankfully, belts for this are easy to find. The brush roll's in okay shape. I did oil the brush roll, and the brush roll is turning a lot more smoothly now. But the bearings are still kind of going out in it. It really does need a new brush roll, which is really bad because, Fantom. Complete lack of available replacement parts. Unless you just happen to get super lucky on eBay. And the parts are really expensive because, again, well, Fantom. So, yeah, pretty much everyone knows the story behind these things at this point. We all know Dyson. James Dyson was selling selling Dysons in the UK. He licensed the technology to S.C. Johnson Wax in the late 80s. Then it eventually sold to Iono, which later rebranded as Fantom Technologies. I have no idea what the heck happened to them. I'm pretty sure they went down along with Fantom. Actually, no, because they were Fantom. So yeah, completely went bankrupt in 2001 because James Dyson basically didn't renew the patent. And of course, we all know 2001 was the year the DC-07 came out, and that Dyson's finally hit the US market, or at least, started to build the infrastructure to release in the US market. I believe Dyson's officially started selling here in 2002, or maybe late 2001. Either way, they started like right after they moved the production to Malaysia. So you won't see any UK Dysons in the US, at least not that I'm aware of. And of course, that would all be the '07. So yeah, and as a result, Fantom switched to single cyclonic technologies. The quality control went down, although people argue that it actually went down starting with this machine because the Thunder was essentially a commercial machine, and this one had cheaper build quality to keep the cost down. But I really like this machine. I like how lightweight it is. It's still not the lightest thing in the world, but it's much closer to the DC-03, which is what this machine was essentially modeled after. Although, comparing this to the DC-03, it's not nearly as obvious as, something like the Thunder to the DC-01 or the DC-02 to the Lightning. But it's fairly obvious that, that's kind of what this is trying to sort of cater towards. Is this trying to be the Americanized DC-03, and then the Cyclone XT was trying to be the Americanized DC-04, basically. So, you can kind of see the parallels between the machines. Personally, I think this is at least based on face value, this seems to be a nicer machine than the DC-03, but I've still always wanted one, and I would love to get an old school British Dyson to actually compare it to the Fantom equivalent, because no one's ever done that. And I've always wanted one of those early Dysons, but if I had to pick between having the Fantoms and having the early Dysons, I would choose the Fantoms just because I think they're just far more interesting than just, oh, it's an early Dyson. And I also think the design is a lot nicer. Obviously, they have headlights and height adjustments and slightly different tool sets, HEPA filters as well. The HEPA filter cartridge is in pretty good condition, at least, so that's something that's good. But yeah, so it also came with all the attachments as well, so that's really nice. It's good. I'm just still disappointed with how bad the motor sounds, but again, that's something that I'll have to fix. And of course, taking apart one of these things is very nerve-wracking because, again, if you slip and break something, Fantom, no parts. So I would love to get another Fury, ideally a copper one, since that's kind of my favorite color is the copper, but I do not recommend using these machines for fairly obvious reasons nowadays. They're great as collectibles, but do not use these as a daily driver. The Thunder, you could at least kind of get away with it because, the Thunders are a little bit stronger and those last a long time. But I still wouldn't recommend using a Thunder as a daily driver, or a Fantom Domestic, which is basically just a Thunder. So, I wouldn't recommend using any Fantom as a daily driver. Get a more modern machine to use and then just keep the Fantom for your collection. So, that's pretty much that. There's not really much else to say. So, fair warning, because again, this doesn't sound very good, so it's going to sound pretty gnarly. But yeah, let's go ahead and run this thing. Oh god, that screeching whenever I put it upright really hurt my ears. But yeah, I think now it's kind of understandable why I don't want to use this for a whole house demo just yet, until I fix it. And I'm not really in a rush to fix it because, again, I'm not interested in using this thing as a daily driver, but the motor clearly sounds really bad. I don't know what the heck happened to it in just the short time that I had it. Obviously, it was sitting for a long period of time unused, before I got a hold of it. Yet now that I got a hold of it and it's been sitting unused for like a couple months, then all of a sudden now it sounds like ass. So, oh crap! Now I just got demonetized. There we go. But yeah, so it's really unfortunate how poor of a condition machine this is, but nevertheless, I'm still super happy to have it. and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.